Hey, yeah, we're here with Kevin Shaffer, the owner of ColoradoPreps.com. They do a lot of great writing when it comes to high school football. Kevin, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, fun time of year, football playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just jump right in and talk about 4A. Out here, we're obviously concerned with the Montrose Indians. They barely snuck into the playoffs with the number 8 seed. Got a very tough matchup with Dakota Ridge. They've kind of been on top of 4A all season long. What do you expect the Indians to run in offensively with the Eagles?
Well, Dakota Ridge, a very good football team. They made the state semifinals last year and missed a chance at the championship game by a late field goal against Broomfield. So they're experienced, and most of that core group is back. They've got a real good quarterback in Ben Golting. He can run and throw. Got a real good running back with Charlie Offredall and the wide receiver Mason Galbraith. They were all major contributors to their run last year. So even though Dakota Ridge hasn't been pushed this year, their core group is experienced in the playoffs. So it'll be a tough game for Montrose, but to be honest with you, the 4A bracket so even, I wouldn't consider any result an upset this week.
The 4A Western Slope League, that was a really tough conference that Montrose came out of, obviously with the addition of Palmer Ridge and Ponderosa.
Sure.
Do you feel like that conference is going to kind of give Montrose a fair taste of what traveling to Dakota Ridge is going to feel like?
Easily, and I don't think Dakota Ridge is as physical as the two teams they played with as far as Ponderosa and Palmer Ridge. Travel, I don't think, is a concern for Montrose. They're used to it going into the metro area and across the state on a regular basis. I would be more concerned for Dakota Ridge if they had to go to Montrose because teams in the metro don't do that. But Palmer Ridge is a serious state championship threat. Ponderosa is a serious contender for state champion as well. So Montrose is battle tested, and that's why they got into the playoffs because of their schedule. They led Palmer Ridge at half. They played Ponderosa toe-to-toe for 48 minutes, so they're well deserving of being into the bracket.
You got it. Let's go to 2A now. Delta taking on Platte Valley. Delta's D versus Platte Valley's offense. That's what we're kind of expecting to see. What are you expecting to see out of that game?
Yeah, I think that's where Delta has a chance to win this game. They've got to control Cade McDaniel. He's a very good quarterback for Platte Valley. Kind of the way we play football now is spread you out and your quarterback's a dual threat. That's what he does. He can throw it. He had almost 500 yards of offense in their win 2 weeks ago against 1A Ray. So he's a good football player, and he'll be the focus of that Delta defense. And I think they're going to have to force some turnovers because obviously they've got their backup quarterback in offensively.
With Delta, do you think Delta would have been a favorite if Bynum were still at quarterback?
One of the favorites, I think, because I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite even now in Class 2A. Sterling's a defending champ, obviously, but, they're not the same team they were a year ago. Delta, without their quarterback, is obviously not the same team. So there's good balance in Class 2A, and would they have been a favorite with him in there? One of the favorites, but again, there's not a clear-cut team that's far and away better than anybody else.
So let's go to, 1A now. One of the teams we've had our eyes on all season long has been Hotchkiss. They went undefeated in the Western Slope League and still coming out as a number 5 seed. What does that say about the 1A division?
There's a lot of depth, and there could be a case made that Hotchkiss should have hosted this game, but Ray, their only losses to 2A Platte Valley. They played a pretty good schedule, and they come out of that traditionally tough league, the North Central. So it's a good matchup. 4-5 is always a good game. Ray is similar to Platte Valley in the sense they have a quarterback who does most of their work offensively. Tyler Collins, he has almost 2,000 yards of offense in 6 games this year. So Hotchkiss defense has to focus on him, not let him get away with the big play. Offensively, they want to run the football behind their offensive line and make Collins either sit on the sidelines or play defense most of the game.
You got it. And as a little bonus coverage, too, can we talk about the Meeker game? Meeker going to Strasburg. Strasburg's kind of a bit of an anomaly as far as what we can tell, but them just, running up the scoreboard all season long, but then their RPI wasn't very great. I think they were number 7 in the RPI rankings. What is Strasburg all about?
Well, they've been to the state championship game 4 straight years, so this is a program that knows how to win. They won titles in 16 and 17 and then runner-up to Lyman each of the last 2 years. But they're dominant this year is because of schedule. You look at it, and they didn't set it up. Chaz has set it up, so they'd had no choice in the matter. And they were one of the few teams that didn't have to reschedule a game. All 6 opponents they had on their list were able to play this year. So they haven't been tested this year. But again, like I mentioned with Dakota Ridge, this group has been around 2 or 3 years, so they know what playoff football is about. But Meeker is going to be by far by far the best team they have ever lined up against this year. And I think it'll be a good game because Phelan with Meeker and Woodward and Turner, they've got a good group offensively that I think can play with Strasburg.
Hey, thanks again, Kevin. Really appreciate your time today. ColoradoPreps.com, in case you guys don't know, they've got a ton of really good content up on their website, and it's by far one of the best places to go to keep up to date with the latest scoreboards, too. Kevin, thanks again. Really appreciate it, and we'll talk at you then.
All right. Enjoy the weekend.